All righty, everyone. We're accelerating your communication and online skills. Welcome to Online Presenters, a virtual Toastmasters Club. I am Sunny Fridge, aka Dr. Sunny. It's a pleasure to be here. Guest, you are always welcome. If you'd like to become a member, we certainly would love that. You should be a member, a current or former active member of Toastmasters International, completed at least 6 Toastmasters official speeches, and demonstrate your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. However, if you have other experience, we welcome you to demonstrate your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. Please know that all requests for membership are subject to approval by our club members. And we welcome all members that are here today. We have guests from many countries throughout the world. As a member, and there are many members throughout the world. As a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word uses that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we are recording this meeting. Your video and audio contribution may be used for club marketing purposes. Guests, we'd love it if you check the direct chat a little bit later. We have information for you because we are an opt-in club and we'd love to have you be a part of our marketing purposes and educational as wise. Finally, remember, please mute your microphone when you're not speaking. And now it's time to help me welcome to the virtual stage our club president, Joni Laidlaw. Welcome, Joni.
Thank you, Madam Sergeant at Arms, Sunny Fridge. And thank you for bringing up that we are actually an opt-in club. So we do want your consent, especially if you're going to share your images. And you know what? Let us know if we can tag you in our posts as well. Now, it's our second meeting for the year 2026. And last week, I said there are quite of us that are missing because they're sick. When they said speak it into being, I don't think that is what they meant because I today am sick. So you may not be seeing me a lot for today, but I do know that we will have an excellent meeting on our off camera. Now, for today, we didn't do New Year's resolutions last week. I'm assuming because everybody was under the weather or was giving everybody the time to introspect, or maybe for the chance at some precipitation. Hope I got that one right. But the theme today is that. And the beauty of this time is that you do get the opportunity to introspect, see what needs to be changed about yourself, and craft a way to work on it as we move forward. The lady who will be taking us through her introspection, who knows? Please help me welcome our Vice President of Public Relations, Kritika, to take us through the meeting.
Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Yoni, our club president. Every day is a clean slate. Make the most out of it. When you get up off your bed, you think of yesterday's remindings, today's responsibilities, and the set of actions as a choice that you have before you to become accountable for yourself of tomorrow, to become a future-ready person. Being adaptable and flexible is a pivotal thing that makes you to lead yourself and to lead others effectively. Irrespective of where you come from, what do you eat, whom you interact with, what is your educational qualification, your psychographic segmentation, there are certain actions that gets you out of your bed and makes you a better person and makes you to become a, a variant of yourself, bringing the best in you. And that comes through habits. A personal strategy of designing meaningful, actionable outcome that helps you to create a better you is habit. It is not just bridging yourself from the existing one. It is just moving away from the ones that you don't want and getting yourself into a new one. Just like picking a nail off and placing a new nail, a habit is replaceable. They don't have to be difficult, hard, bringing you a breakthrough. This is what is today's theme. What makes you a better person by having a new habit? That is done generally through resolution. Resolution is anything that directly links to your passion, mission, your profession, and hobby that brings you joy in you. This comes with a personal archaeology that you perform to yourself, like seeing your old photograph, memorizing whatever you have read, reading a new book, or reading again, reviewing your diary, your old diary, your journal, giving yourself your time to see your accomplishment professionally or personally. What did I hit the greatest? At what time that made me happy? These two things help you to make yourself a resolution, a term which is coined that gives you the leverage of giving yourself the confidence that I will be a better person this year. Okay, let's speak more about resolution. Before that, let's introduce our role takers for today. Being equivocal produces a beneficial effect. Salutary is the miscellany of event ordering. Let's order today's event by first introducing the grammarian of the day today so that you use the word, so that he introduces the word and all of us use the word of the day. The grammarian of today is Andrew Byrne. Dr. Andrew Byrne, over to you. Why don't you introduce us the word of the day and its usage? Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Krithika. The word of the day is very special. It's something I'm going to be listening for throughout the course of the meeting. And the word is can't say it anymore. Perspicaparious. I'm sorry about that. It means you're showing great insights. So it's perspicarious or any variation thereof. I'll be listening for that. I'll be listening to good grammar. I'll be listening for the use of appropriate tense, and if you're running on in your sentences. And at the end of the meeting during our evaluation session, I will give you my report. Back to you, Krithika. You're on mute.
Thank you, Andrew. Before we get into the next role takers, the theme of the meeting is New Year resolution. And based on the theme, we have a new background which is shared in the chat. Feel free to use the new background in this meeting. Our next important role taker, who will provide perspicacious report about our meeting, is timer. Our timer for today is Alison Blackman. Alison, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. And timing and speaking within our time limits is very important. Whether you're speaking at a company function, you're speaking at a relative's, a friend's house, a banquet, or you're at TEDx talk or here at Toastmasters, knowing when to be quiet and how long of a time frame you have to speak. So when you reach the minimum threshold, I will display the green light. Halfway through, yellow, red, and if you go over time, Zaz, my official timekeeping buddy who is laying on part of my keyboard right now, will show you her mad face saying, "You're over time. You talk too much." So have fun speaking today, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Allison, Toastmaster Allison. Ask people you trust for feedback on what you're doing. And that is how we build ourselves. We need to minimize the number of crutch words that we use in our meeting. For that, we have a role, our counter. Today's our counter is going to be, again, Dr. Andrew Byrne. Why don't you introduce your role to us, Andrew? Over to you.
Role our counter is to pay attention with active listening. That active listening is important because I will look for people that are using clutch words, filler words, ums, ahs, you know, so's, buts, and all those things. I'll keep track of them and give a report at the end of the meeting. Back to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Andrew Byrne. The most important part of online presentation is virtually how you present yourself. For this, we have a specialized role taker, and that's a watcher. Our watcher for today is Ms. Mahfuzur Rahman. I'm not sure if I spelled your name correctly. Mahfuzur Rahman, Toastmaster Mahfuzur Rahman. Why don't you introduce yourself and your role for today? Over to you, Dr. Mahfuzur Rahman.
Madam Toastmaster of the Day, glad to be here and good to be back for Online Presenters. Watcher, as you see, Dr. Byrne has shown his younger self. I will be looking at visual portion of online meeting today, and I will be reaching out to you, such as with visual effect, body language, props, slides, background, framing, and the quality of your video. And I will be reporting back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mahfuzur Rahman. Our last role taker for today, oh, it's not going to be the last. One more role taker is there. Our next role taker for today is a chat monitor. Our chat monitor for today is Jim Barber. Usually, he used to watch us keen and be the visual grammarian. Today, he's going to be our reading grammarian. Jim Barber, Toastmaster Jim Barber, over to you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, my fellow Toastmasters. With all due respect, the chat monitor is the single most important position in the online presenters meeting. And as the chat monitor this evening, I will be, are you ready for this, monitoring the chat. If you want me to go into any more detail than that, what I'll be doing is watching all the different comments that go past in the chat. I will be alerting our Toastmaster of anything that she needs to know that's going on. And more than anything else, at the end of the meeting, I will give a report on the most, are you ready for this? Perspicacious, there we go, perspicacious comments that are going to show up in the chat this evening, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, chat monitor Jim Barber, for your perspicacious introduction and insights that you will be delivering by the end of this meeting. Our last role taker for today is going to be vote counter. We do have many roles, but vote counter gives you the perspective of what you have done today by counting your yearnings. And for this, I would like to call upon our treasurer, Toastmaster Sarah Edifin. Toastmaster Sarah Edifin, over to you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. I am the vote counter, and throughout the meeting, I will be encouraging you to send in your votes privately to me, and we'll be voting for the best speaker, best evaluator, and the most perspicacious, one of the perspicacious speakers in table topics. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sarah. When I picked up the word of the day, I was little skeptical, but I was little skeptical how it is going to resonate. Now I'm sure we need to improve our linguistic skill by using a lot of words that twists our tongue. And perspicacious is one of it. I think I made justice to today's Toastmasters meeting by choosing such a word that makes everyone difficult to pronounce. Okay, before getting into the actual meeting, which is a planned section that has three important sections, mainly the prepared speeches, table topic, and evaluation. Let's speak more about what we want as a resolution to be set. How you set your resolution. Sometimes it's nostalgia. A research from University of Southampton shows being nostalgic to something strengthens optimism. Feeling connected to others, the critical moments, the best moments that you had with your family, friends, your loved ones, with a gathering or an event, helps you capable of meeting your goals. And that brings or reminds you of deserving the best in you. Express this in movie, The Inside Out, a Pixar stroke of genius, where humans are born with in a tender and amusing fashion. No other being has this capability of expressing yourself and being emotional, except human beings. It's obvious dogs do not call the peer dog with its name, but humans call them, giving them a pet name and making one among ourselves. That makes it to give you an optimistic person and become more of yourself. Okay, let's speak more about resolution and how you get to bring in the resolution that you have in your mind. Let's move on to the prepared speeches section. Our first speaker for today is going to be Annie Martin. She's a Toastmaster for 10 years and she's a member of 4 clubs. Annie is going to present her speech, level 2 speech in her pathway dynamic leadership. Her project title is Softly, and the project is Writing a Speech with Purpose. Annie, we look forward for your speech. Over to you, Annie.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I'm just checking that they'll count where my lights are. Beautiful. Is it possible they can go in the top left, Alison? Beautiful. When I first began writing palliative biographies, that is writing stories for people who were nearing the end of their life, about their life, I always imagined I would meet sweet little old ladies. They would be telling me about their rose gardens. I never imagined I was going to meet Rico, telling me about drug lords and the underworld and bikie gangs. I went to his house. I'll say that loosely because he lived in a shed. And even before I walked in the door, I could smell the cigarette smoke. And I walked in, and there he was, covered in tattoos, his face, and that looked like it had been rearranged a few fists at a time. Now, I was dressed somewhat similarly to this, and I did have the feeling I might be a little bit overdressed. And I was pretty sorry I was in my high heels too, because I thought I could need to make a very quick getaway. He ushered me in and said, we could write the story, he said, but I want Hollywood. Oh, boy, I cannot imagine taking my children along to see Rico, the musical. I mean, it was all about initiation rites to various various bikie gangs. And it was about what it was like on the inside. Some very high security establishments. I was really at the end of my wits. And I was going to go back to the office and say, I cannot continue with Rico's biography. Please put me onto a sweet little old lady. One day, in desperation, really, I turned to him and said, Rico, what's your first memory? It took Rico a long time to answer that question. I remember screaming and chasing after me mum's car. Strangers were holding me back. That was an accurate memory. Rico remembers his mother driving off from the Melbourne orphanage, age 3. Suddenly, that biography took on a whole new chapter. And together, Rico and I approached the orphanage to see if we couldn't get his records released. And oh boy, as I read them through, Ricky, age 3, inconsolable since his mother drove away. Every day tries to run away to find that car. Every night cries himself to sleep. Ricky, age 6. First he pranks the other boys, then he fights them hard. Last night, cried himself to sleep. Rico, age 9, flies into a rage if anyone calls him Ricky. Last Saturday, set fire to the couch. We fear for his future. Ricky? That little boy, what if that had been my mother driving away from the orphanage? What if it had been yours? Can you imagine what it would be like to live a life like Rico, to wear Rico's shoes? Now I imagine we've all heard that phrase, to walk a mile in his shoes. Do you know where that phrase comes from? Actually, from a poem written 130 years ago by a woman called Mary Lathrap. But the title of the poem is one worth remembering. It was called Judge Softly. What a beautiful phrase. Judge softly. Softly. Not that long ago, I was up on the street and I walked past a homeless person. Automatically, I could feel my judgments. They were loud, they were harsh, they were automatic. And I thought of Rico and Ricky. Judge softly. Softly. And I turned to look back at that homeless person and I wondered about their story, their silent story. Online Toastmasters, we won't always know the stories of the people we walk past in the street or of the people in very high security establishments. We won't know. And we can't always imagine what it's like to walk a mile in their shoes. But we can always judge softly. Softly. I finished Rico's biography, finally, and I went back to his shed one last time. It was so good to see him. He had a look at it and, too many words. He said, "Where's Hollywood?" And I really hope Hollywood takes that story, this story, and puts it up on the very big screen. Now, it won't be a Disney movie, but it's a movie I think we should all go to see in whatever country we're in, whether it's Jamaica or India or America, we'll all go. And we can wear whatever we like. We can wear our pink jacket, we can wear our grimy old shoes, whatever we like, because we will be there, making sure that we judge Rico and each other softly, softly. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Annie. We definitely will judge softly with empathy that makes better version of what we are so that we look the peer person as a human being. It will be, if you're constantly running on autopilot, we will not be aware of what is happening around you. And that's what Annie's speech projects. Our next second speaker for today is our VPE, our Vice President of Education. Our Vice President of Education, Graham Carins, he is in the pathway Engaging Humor, Level 1, Mastering Fundamentals. And he is going to give his icebreaker speech. The year that changed everything. As we begin a new year, we wonder if this year could be where everything comes together for us. Or maybe it'll be the year where everything falls apart. He is going to consider these 2 points and give us a speech on the title, The Year That Changed Everything. Graham Carins, Toastmaster Graham Carins, over to you.
Toastmaster friends, it was 1977. I was a fresh-faced 19-year-old, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I was in my final year of high school, having dropped out and then returned, and ABBA was dominating the radio airwaves, including the airwaves of 4SR, the high school radio station which I had helped set up and which would within months help me garner a place in the industry, which has now been my life for 40-something years. It was, I have to tell you, a pivotal time in my life, not least because young Shirley McCormack, my girlfriend at the time, had agreed to marry me, although we didn't set a specific date. So it was 1977, the year that changed everything. But then again, maybe it was 1979 where everything changed. I'd been working out in country radio stations, kept apart from Shirley, who remained in Brisbane, except for the occasional stolen weekend where we could get together. It was on one of those stolen weekends in 1979 that, without going into too much information, Shirley and I shared a special kind of hug. Now, I'll be honest, this wasn't the first time we had shared that sort of hug, but this one had repercussions which included firming up our someday wedding date, so maybe it was 1979 when everything changed. Or maybe it was 1980 when everything changed, when our son Alan was born, because the moment when a man becomes a father is life-changing. Or maybe it was 1981 when my daughter Lyndall was placed in my arms, because I was more than a husband and father, but a protector now. Was that when everything changed? I mean, after all, that was the same year that I went from being a DJ playing stacks of wax from the Tower of Power to becoming a journalist, shining light on the dark corners of society. Or was 1990 the year when everything changed, when I was made unemployed by my radio station closing and changing format, forcing me to set up my own public speaking training consultancy? That was certainly a year where it all changed. I guess any one of those years could be considered the year it all changed, but here's a secret. In any of those years, it could all have changed in completely different ways. In 1977, as I said, I was at school running 4SR student radio, and ABBA dominated the charts. I mention that specifically because the role that ABBA played could have turned out so very, very differently in my life. I was a difficult student at high school. For example, I only ever wore my complete school uniform 6 times in my final 3 years of school. In Australia, you're supposed to wear a school uniform every day. Well, I only wore it 6 times in my final 3 years of school. And how do I know it was 6 times? Because twice a year, the students were allowed uniform-free days. And it was those the only days where I would wear the entire uniform without addition or accessory. I was heavily involved in the student council, but rather than being some sort of conduit for the school administration, I was the gadfly. encouraging non-conformity in other students and creating waves for the principal and his leadership team. In 1977, I won the School Service Award, and there is no doubt that I deserve that award. I'm not being arrogant, I'm just being honest. My leadership role in a variety of school activities meant that I was deserving of that award. But as I say, I was also disruptive. So disruptive that a number of teachers apparently threatened to boycott the award ceremony if I got that honour. And an equal number threatened to boycott it if I didn't. In the end, for the only time in the school's history, the award was shared with another student who was somewhat less problematic. Now, I mention all of that to give you background to this. I was also, as mentioned, an ABBA tragic. In fact, I headed the ABBA Bring Them to Brisbane Association, ABBA. We didn't bring them to Brisbane, I have to tell you, so instead I drove down to Sydney to see them perform when the band came to Australia. And that was against the specific instructions of the school principal, who threatened unspecified punishment if I took 3 days off school for a non-educational purpose. But I did it anyway. Looking back, I could so easily have been suspended or even expelled, and that really would have changed everything. My radio career could have been derailed, which could have pushed me into a job in Brisbane rather than out in the country, which could have sped up or slowed down or just completely changed the trajectory of my life. And at each pivotal moment in my life, the same holds true. If I had chosen not to accept a job in Adelaide, who knows how things would have changed? Maybe when I was made redundant in Adelaide, if I'd saved the payout to fund my new business rather than flying my children to see their grandparents, then that business might have lasted longer than a year. I'll never know. The point I make is that every crossroads in my life, things could have gone differently. Some of those changes may have been better. Some may have been worse, and we will never know which is which. But you know something? I don't care. Well, that's not actually true. I do care, but it's also true to say that I have no regrets. I am, as are we all, the sum total of our experiences. Now, some experiences have been better than others, but all of them make me, me, and they make you, you. So I do have a plea. All of the years that I've mentioned have been before 2021, and that was the year that changed everything. I'm not talking about COVID, although yes, that did change everything. No, I'm talking about my wife Shirley's breast cancer diagnosis in 2021. That is the year that changed everything. It's now coming up on 5 years since her diagnosis, and then her chemotherapy and her surgery and her radiation therapy and her remission, which brings us to 2026. We got a call about 2 hours ago from Shirley's oncologist saying there's something concerning about Shirley's PET scan from yesterday, and she wants to see us. She wants to see us today. She wants to see us in just over an hour. We don't know what's coming. This could mean that 2026 will be the year that changes everything. We just don't know. But the thing is, every year could be the year that changes everything. Every day could be the day that changes everything. Every moment could be the moment that changes everything. We are, in the final analysis, at a crossroads every time we take a breath. The only advice I can give you, ladies and gentlemen, is to breathe deeply, grab hold, and take the ride wherever it takes us. Because change is inevitable, and you never know. Each choice we make could be the choice that changes everything. Toastmaster.
Brilliantly presented, Graham. Sanguine, optimism, maneuvering with your attitude, you become irrefutable. That is how you become. Yes, that is how you become not to be disapproved by anybody. Graham's speech reminds me of being mindful, being motionless. Just remain still. Have your five sensation. Be cautious about what is happening around you. Slow your race and stay ahead to bring yourself back. A great lesson. Our third speaker for today is going to be our Sergeant of Arms. Sergeant of Arms, Dr. Sunny Fridge. She is going to present her level 3 increasing knowledge from the pathway presentation mastery. The project goal is to connect with storytelling. Sunny Fridge will take us back to a moment that helped shape her understanding of family belonging and the power of love, inspired by the timeless question made famous by singer Tina Turner. I herewith welcome Dr. Sunny Fridge to present her speech titled, What's Love Got to Do with It? What's love got to do with it? Over to you, Toastmaster Sunny Fridge.
Some of our most powerful memories don't come with pictures. They come with feeling. One of my earliest memories as a child is the day my little sister and I walked with my parents into a courthouse in Brooklyn, New York. I remember it was a huge building, tall ceilings, wide hallways, and so many stairs. In my little mind, I thought, these stairs must go on forever, all the way up to the sky. Well, I didn't get to find out that day if they did. We took the elevator. When we got out, we entered a quiet room. A man who I would later learn was a judge sat behind a desk and asked me a few questions. The one I remember most was when he asked, "Do you like your father?" Without hesitation, I replied, "Yes, I love my daddy." I didn't realize it at the time, but that was the day my sister and I were legally adopted. For a long time, though, I didn't even know I was adopted. Years later, we started noticing mail arriving at our house addressed to my sister and me. And I noticed something. Our last names were different. I remember wondering, why would we have different last names than our other sisters? I was curious, so I asked. This was a moment my parents were waiting for us to ask them, get curious. They sat us down and they shared part of the story. My mom told me that our biological father had served in the army and how he had returned and unexpectedly died shortly after. He was just 23 years old. My mom was a widow, pregnant with my sister, and I wasn't even 2 years old. Those checks that came in the mail, they weren't just letters. They were survivor benefits because my sister and I were dependents from my father being in the army. But you know what mattered most wasn't that paperwork. When I think about the title, What's Love Got to Do with It? Well, it was the love that chose us, the love that stayed, love that didn't have to, but did. My mom later shared how thankful she was when 2 years later, her prayers were answered. You see, God brought a special man into her life, someone who would love her and love us. That's me on the right. I look bigger than my sister. That's probably the only time in my life that I was. And our family grew. Years later, my dad would proudly say, "I have 4 beautiful daughters, 2 of them are adopted. I forget which 2. That would make me chuckle. And you know, as I've grown older, I've realized something. That early experience shaped how I see the world and how I listen. And it taught me that voice matters because stories matter. We've already heard 2 great stories today. And you know, being seen and heard can change how we understand ourselves and each other. That's one of the reasons I'm here in Toastmasters. I believe when we use our voice with intention, we create connection. So I'll leave you with a simple reflection. At some point in your life, someone chose you, believed in you, maybe before you even believed in yourself. Someone loved you, maybe even when they didn't have to. And maybe, just maybe, that moment shaped your voice too. And I look forward to getting to know your stories. That early memory reminds me of something I deeply believe. What I found is that a family isn't only made from blood. A family is also made of love. Back to you.
Great story. A great story to understand you better, Dr. Sun. A writer, Shonda Rhimes, says, a year of S is not about restriction, but expansion. But sometimes you cannot say yes to everything, though if you have a choice to choose a best. A year of S is not necessarily about unabashed optimism. It's not choosing earth-shattering resolution or world-changing goal setting. It's about making a small, consistent step that gives you a better quality of life, a better choice to make your circle enriched with goals, cohesion, and bring the better version of building as a person and to become successful in your profession. Everybody strives for it, and that is what is the aim. This brings us an understanding of what a rope buddy plays in your life. All the 3 stories, all the 3 New Year stories brings us to understand, to eliminate those who tend to let us down when we need them the most. And not only to think lateral wise, like lateral thinking versus vertical thinking gives us a better understanding of the situation right now and gives you the interdependence and the independence both hand in hand to choose your action. Said that, let's move on to the next section. The next section is the most powerful section, the table topic section. You become what we repeatedly do. Sam Covey, The Habit of Highly Effective Teams, says this. Our next generation is going to be the best speakers, the best storytellers, and people who are able to express themselves as human beings, because artificial intelligence has already taken over all our opportunities. Set this in hand, let's welcome today's topic master, Marianne Grady. Toastmaster Marianne Grady, the floor is all yours. Before that, let me ask the vote counter, Sarah Edingham, to post the link for today's best speaker in the chat. Sarah Edingham, please post the link for best speaker for today's chat. Meanwhile, I would like to share a quick, short screen of what will be relevant to today's meeting. And that is an interesting
I'm
set
sorry that
of
I don't
goals.
know where the link is to post in the chat for best speaker. I was doing the old-fashioned way, thinking that people would just send me their votes.
Okay, okay.
If somebody
also
has
be
the
done.
link, then it's okay if they would like to post it.
Okay, let me do it offline. After sharing this, just one pic.
Well, it's
Here
probably
is
better if Sarah just does it the simple way. Just let people send her private message.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Said that, I would like to call upon our topics master, Toastmaster, Marian Grady. Over to you.
Well, thank you, Karthika. Today, I'm your table topics master, and this is a segment of the meeting where we practice our impromptu or off-the-cuff speaking. You'll have 1 to 2 minutes to respond to a question. You can answer the question or toss that question out the window and talk on your own about whatever you'd like. Now, we were talking about resolutions at this time of year, and this middle of January time is when either you're kind of taking hold with your resolutions or they're going out the window and you're just tossing them aside. So I thought I would push you just a little bit by giving you a resolution, assigning one to you, and you're going to have to tell me how you're going to execute it. So I'd like to start with Jim Barber. Jim, your job is to resolve to quit one habit that you secretly enjoy, but know that you probably shouldn't.
Thank you, Madam Topics Master. I'm going to resolve to break one habit that I thoroughly enjoy, but I know secretly that it's not really good for me. Wow. The obvious answer would be beer. The problem is, though, is that you said that it should be secretly not good for me. And I tend to disagree. I think beer is good for you. It's not, maybe not on most of the things that you list as a good thing. But it's alcohol based. Alcohol kills germs. So right there, it's made from hops and other vegetables. So it's organic. It's got good vegetable type base to it. Basically, beer is good. Wine, same sort of thing. I'm more partial to beer, but I will settle for wine any day of the week. Wine is made from grapes. Wine is mentioned in the Bible. Wine is a long and illustrious career, so I don't think that's bad for me either. The problem is coming not with breaking a habit, but finding a habit that I enjoy that is secretly bad for me. Because the thing is, I have managed to rationalize a good reason for all of the habits that I have. My wife is not absolutely thrilled with my spending so much time at Toastmasters meetings. So, from her point of view, that is a habit that she would like to see me break. But I'm not going to because, again, I think it's good for me and I enjoy it. So, I'm not going to do it. So, basically, it's a very difficult question to answer. Not that I don't have any habits, not that I don't have any habits that I enjoy, but I don't have any habits that I think are particularly bad for me. Back to you, Madam Topics Master.
Well, thank you kindly, sir. Glad you were able to share with us. Next, I'd like to invite one of our guests. Syed, are you free to answer a question?
Yes.
Okay, now the resolution that I'm going to give to you is to resolve to be bad at something new and not quit.
So would you please repeat that question? To be better at something good?
No, 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 no. To
Bad?
be bad at something and not quit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very interesting question. Usually, this is human nature, that usually strive their best to be best at something better, but this is completely adverse. um, I would attempt to be very bad at not yeah not to be like very detail oriented, or that's something good, but like to start smoking, like maybe smoking is not something bad for our other people will not consider it bad, but I consider it bad. I just wanted to start smoking and just have a lot of free time and don't make schedule for my daily tasks. That's it.
Okay, well, thank you, thank you. And I really wouldn't advise you to follow through on that habit, just FYI. Okay, Nikisha, are you free to answer a question?
Yeah, sure. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, your resolution is to reclaim one space in your home that has become a dumping ground.
Okay, can you repeat that? Repeat it one more time.
Tell us about how you're going to resolve to reclaim one space in your home that has become a dumping ground.
Okay. Um, set out set out some time, because I have a very busy life, so I do have a space that I would, just dump. So just set aside some time to clear that space. I mean, find a home for the place, or put items in their home that's already designated. Would that be right?
Well, sure, but can
Is
you
that
tell us a
kind of
little more?
sure, maybe in more detail, set out an hour on a weekend that on a day that that may be busy, but just pull that hour out, and then maybe put clothes where they supposed to go, in the closet or in the dresser drawers. Maybe snacks in the kitchen. Would that be?
Oh,
I'm not
that's
sure. Just
terrific. Thank you. Thank you for
pray about
participating.
it.
And I have a room like that, and it's my office. And right before
Oh,
Christmas, all the presents and all the wrapping paper and everything just gets tossed in and door slammed so no
oh
one sees it.
gosh.
And
Yes,
then
ma'am. I
now
guess
I'm in
I
the
wasn't
process
really
of
prepared
reclaiming it.
for that question, because I'm sorry I cut you off. I'm
No
sorry.
worries.
I was not prepared for that question because I am an activities coordinator. So I do have an office space, and that office space was crowded with gifts and Christmas festivities. And before that, it was November. Before that, well, Thanksgiving. Then before that, it was Halloween. And then in September, it was my suicide awareness. So I did declutter. So I did take, before the new year came around, I did set some time, apart from activities, and to clear my space, because it was, a wreck. So I did find a closet space for, because I'm a new activities coordinator, and I have accumulated these stuff, and some of my stuff is still good, so I want to use it for the next year. So I find closet space to store that stuff, for the next years to come. So I guess if
Well,
that's
thank you for
better.
sharing. That
Yes,
was
ma'am.
great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Miriam, for giving me the questions.
Kurthika, do we have time for any more?
We have for one.
Okay. Mafisar.
How you doing?
The question that I have for you is, I want you to resolve to say no faster instead of explaining yourself.
Madam Topic Master, if I can say no all day, I'll be sitting at my desk. I will be saying no all day. That's the best thing I can do without working anything. And saying no is the easiest thing that you can do in your day-to-day activities. Now, think about when you're a lawyer or you're in a professional, you're someone that in authority. Saying no can be troublesome. And I want just to warn you, saying no can be troublesome. So you want to say no wisely. Now, that was the advice I've given to my high school dropout friend 20 years back, saying that, hey, you really do say no in your work. You can be a good lawyer. And he did follow my advice. So one of the days, he thought that he will leave the job and would become a lawyer. And he's a lawyer now. But what I can say is saying no can earn someone a career, or saying no can earn somebody or ruin his life. Madam Topic Master, that's my argument.
Well, thank you, sir. We have most certainly had some perspicacious insights tonight, and I will pass it back to our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Marian. Meanwhile, here is a link posted. Oh, yeah. Here is a link posted in the chat for the best table topic speaker. Host your link. If you believe if you can change, you can make it a habit, the change becomes real. I completely accept to certain points which has been discussed in today's table topics discussion. Sometimes a decision, crucial decision, a critical decision can change one's life in a positive way, and it can also ruin one's life, giving them the least quality of life. Assess the everyday effect that gets into you through the habit and the decision that you have taken to yourself and the decision which has been enforced to yourself. The decision which has been enforced to yourself needs to be eliminated. And that gives you a way of snapshotting your crucial decision. Said that, now we get into the most important section, and that's going to be the evaluation section. For this, I would like to call upon our evaluator, the general evaluator for today. Our general evaluator for today is Dr. Sunny Fridge. Dr. Sunny Fridge, over to you.
Bunny may not have been aware that she was the general evaluator. She volunteered for that a couple of weeks ago and I put her in, but she may not be aware that she was being GE. Is anybody in a position to pick up that role? No?
Hi,
Let
I'm
me pick
okay
up.
with. Okay, go ahead.
Sunny.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. That was very perspicacious to know that I signed up for 2 roles. What was I thinking? In any case, I think this is a great opportunity for us to test our listening skills. This is our paycheck, as some of my Toastmasters often say, when we give the gift of feedback. To help me in this role, we will have 3 speech evaluators as I go to our agenda. And please help me welcome to the stage our first speech evaluator. Speech evaluator number 1, please take the stage.
Annie.
Annie.
Let me help you.
You're, it's fine. I know who the evaluator one is. Thanks. Your spoken language was clear and easily understood. Your eye contact, I could see you looking at us, and you even remembered to occasionally look in the camera to provide that I'm talking directly to you feeling in your speech. You engaged us with interesting, well constructed content. You are really comfortable. I love the paper, your use of props, the way you flip through to demonstrate the story. You appeared really, really comfortable with us. What would I have suggested that you work on? Well, you can ask people if they would watch the movie instead of telling them to. Again, I'm a consent opt-in kind of person, and it leads to engagement, because if you ask me if I'd want to go see that movie, actually it sounds interesting and like a tearjerker. So it is an interesting movie that I would love to see. The only difference is with your pitch. While you spoke in volume tools, you sped up, you slowed down, and I see that you were trying to do his accent. It helps if you drop your voice just a little. You see, when you were talking about Rico sounded like you, but he sounded like you with, I don't know the name of the region accent. Like, for example, when he said, I want Hollywood. If you put a little bass in your voice, it would help to differentiate that it was him. I picked it up when you turned sideways and you said, me mom's car. But it would have helped if you went down a bit and went, me mom's car. But I could tell by your facial feature that you were highlighting the rearrangement of his face in how you spoke to present, to also give us a visual. I would have also changed your call to action or put one in there. I can be dense at times, and sometimes things fly over my head. So my fellow Toastmasters and friends, we've all heard the phrase walk a mile in their shoes, but sometimes it doesn't fit. We all wear different sizes, types, or styles. Always remember, judge softly. My fellow Toastmasters and friends on the call to action helps for people like me that miss it. But I was told once that I should never, ever speak for people, because I believe that you actually did effectively utilize the purpose statement, why we should not be too harsh in our judgment. And you did add some perspicacious perspectives in your speech. But what I will do is demonstrate audience engagement by asking, online presenters, my fellow Toastmasters and guests, did the speech purpose get accomplished? I see Andy applauding. Yes, I see Graham with a thumbs up. I see David applauding. Excellent. I see Critica nodding. Would we go and watch a movie like that and make sure that we bring our tissues to sop up the tears? Ah, lovely. So I loved your presentation. I loved your storytelling. Work on your vocal variety, but keep all of those intricate details that made your speech exemplary and a great demonstration of such an intense purpose statement. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Joni, so much for that perspicacious evaluation. It was very helpful and detailed. Now it's time to welcome evaluator number 2, Carrie Kong, to the virtual stage. Carrie?
Graham. Today I'm being perspicacious to you because I'm observing every single action you have been doing in your speech, and I have been noted that this is a fantastic speech with a lot of things that we can have learned during the journey. So first of all, Graham is engaging in engaging humor level 1 icebreaker. He really breaks the ice. Let's see what Graham has been doing. There has been a lot of different gestures Graham has been using. I was too slow because I need to take my note at the same time capturing the screen. If I can really do that, I would really want to do a Graham gesture compilation and make it like a big one. Everyone can learn about what he was doing. He was using his right hand and he's using his left hand. He was using ring to that specific pointing fingers and say you, eyes looking up as he's thinking, and a lot of different changes such as open arms. So I think it's really nice that you're really being expressive and use the gestures to emphasize your point. Second thing I really like about Graham is your intonation. A lot of ups and downs in how you speak, such as boycott. You emphasize the word. You talk about that is the year that Shirley got cancer, unfortunately. And then you're trying to emphasize the word, make some words really light. So your intonation really attract us to the story itself. And thirdly, I really like the balance of your story. Let's see the aim of this engaging humor. Level 1 is actually to give an interesting story, well-constructed content from story, which is your personal story that you engage us with, over just purely talking about jokes. You have achieved the purpose. It's a really good story, talk about all the different changes you have been undergoing throughout these different years and about the different lessons you have learned. You have a hook at the beginning. You ask a lot of rhetorical questions. You say, maybe you can do this. Maybe we can do that. So there are a lot of things that you engage us in this journey that really spark our thinking. And they also have a really good ending thing. Each of the change you make can change everything. I really like it. Something that I really want to challenge you and for your own improvement. For me, I would really want a little bit more pauses in your speech because you're so fluent in your speech, you were so smooth in your speech that you talk almost like at one time there were 5 sentences that link all together. I know you really want to emphasize how many changes you have underwent, but for us, it was a little bit tough for us to digest the different parts of the story from your prefect time, from your factory until at the end that Charlotte, unfortunately get the disease. So for you, a little bit more pauses, stops, and going back to the story itself with some long and short sentences, it would definitely help you to help the audience to digest the story a little bit more, especially if they are non-native speakers. So I'm really looking forward to your next level, engaging humor level 2, 3, and 4, and see more of a human coming through. And last but not least, congratulations to your journey. And I really hope that all the best to you and Shirley. Back to you, Dr. Sunny.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your evaluation of Graham's speech and also Joni evaluating Annie's speech. And now our third evaluator will be David Carr evaluating my speech. Welcome to the virtual stage.
Okay. Thank you, General Evaluator, and thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Speaker, for sharing this wonderful emotional story with us that actually had a lot of suspense to it. I'll get to that in a moment. But powerful from the opening scene, going into the huge courthouse building and the child's eye view of the stairs that go up forever. I think one thing we do have in common is we've all been children, and we remember the world being very big at some point. And then coming into the courtroom and being told ask this question: do you love your dad? Yes, I love my daddy. Um, and the suspense that I felt at that moment is like, okay, what's this scenario? Why is she being asked this by a judge? And for a moment there, I thought, oh, this is a custody hearing. And she doesn't realize that she's just going to be taken away by her dad and she's never going to see her mom again. So, okay, I'm sorry. This is, um, but the being brought into that moment of understanding the adoption scenario. Although, as it turns out, I didn't quite understand the adoption scenario. And so, one thing I wrote down was that you maybe have to be aware of potential points of confusion. So, her dad died in the war. Oh, her mom must have died too. That's why she's being adopted. Um, and, I knew once I thought about it for a moment that there are scenarios where the mom remarries and we want to have the dad have some legal standing over this child and have an adoption in that scenario. And so that was a potential point of confusion that maybe there's some way that you could try and prepare the listener to understand and make sure that they're coming along with you. I wrote down a bigger, it's more of a stretch thing in terms of trying to make sure more when you're at the end and you're trying to bring this back to the universal experience is not assuming too much about universal experience. I mean, hopefully everybody in your audience has had some experience of that deep love, but you don't know. Love is unfortunately not distributed evenly throughout humanity. And one of the things that I always think of is early in my Toastmasters experience, there was a table topics question that was put to a woman about her happiest childhood memory. And this woman had grown up in a brutal Russian orphanage. She didn't have a lot of happy childhood memories. And I think that question caught her by surprise and really, left her crying in front of us. And so there may be somebody in the audience who does not have the same depth of love that's been directed towards them. And so maybe you could address that somehow by saying, I hope you have had this experience in your life. And, think about who has given you love, whether it was in your childhood or whether it was in some other portion of your life. Hopefully, people have had some experience of having that kind of selfless love addressed to them. So that's kind of a stretch goal, but I don't want to get so wrapped up in it that I take away from these wonderful moments. I love the thing that you related about your dad. I have four beautiful daughters. Two of them are adopted. I forget which two. What a wonderful line. And how wonderful was it that you brought us in at the end? Again, you're talking about love, and maybe, people who loved you, maybe they didn't have to, but a family isn't only made of blood, a family is also made of love. What a wonderful landing for your story. So maybe there's some fine tuning you could do, but I don't know whether this is something that you're practicing as a contest speech. Maybe pay attention to some of the fine points that I've brought up. But this is a wonderful speech, a wonderful emotional speech. I think emotional for you, but you made the emotional connection with all of us. And so thank you for it.
Back to me then. Haha. Thank you so much for that great perspicacious. Boy, I lost my place. Perspicacious. I have to write that word and look at it to pronounce it. Perspicacious, because it was very insightful. Thank you so much. Time has flown, everyone. I can't do this alone. Teamwork makes the dream work. I am going to ask my helpers to please be brief in your feedback, but still impactful. So, first person up will be our counter, Dr. Andy. He's also doing double duty as a grammarian. You have the virtual stage, Dr. Andy.
Thank you very much, Sunny. As it reflects the use of the word of the day, we can see Sunny using it several times, Johnny multiple times, myself, Carrie, all use the word of the day, and what a top word it was for those of us that don't use it on a regular basis. That has to do with the grammarian's word of the day. But looking at the odd counter and seeing where people had perhaps used more fillers and spaces, say you used ums and ahs multiple times and put it in the middle of your sentences. Keisha, normally we don't talk a lot about brand new guests, but just for your knowledge, you can benefit from Toastmasters because it can suppress your ums and ahs that you had in your sentences today. Joni had some filler words and slowing down in her sentence structure. Every did a great job. David Carr also used the words of the day, as well as pointed out good sounding snippets from Sunny's speech, pointing out where phrases could end up as a CTA or call to action. All in all, the evaluators did a perceptive and insightful job. They're all to be congratulated.
Thank you so much for those specific feedbacks of how we can improve. Now it's time for someone who's been watching me and all of you. Let's welcome our watcher, Mafusar Rahman. Welcome.
Thank you. I had my eyes on the screen, but ears on the details. I have been your watcher. I've been watching you, and all of you, those of you used the virtual screen, thank you. And those who didn't use, maybe next time. Those of you that use the lighting, absolutely, thank you. I want to say one thing, though, those use the virtual watchers or the emojis, or even the avatar becoming younger Dr. Graham. So feel free, or absolutely. But I do have a prize for a few, and my prize goes to Dr. Sunny for using a plain one and the eCam. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that brief but insightful, perspicacious feedback. And now, Chatty Jim comes to the virtual stage to let us know what all is going on in the chat.
My pleasure, Madam General Evaluator. I'll keep this short. 3 dots, save chat. Back to you, Madam GE.
Wow, and there is a lot of insightful information. I won't even use the word of the day, but check it out, especially Dr. Andy. He's always giving us some information. All right, finally, 2 more. Timer. Allison, perfect timing. Let's have it.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. So I posted the timing results in the chat. Everyone was on time. Great job, everyone. And back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Awesome. Wow. Well, finally, now it makes sure if everyone has had a chance to vote, let's have it. And that would mean Sarah. Sarah, you are on.
Okay, I'm going to ask Kurtita, did she get any responses from the link that she put in?
Yes, a little.
I
Yeah, we sent some.
I
We
don't-
sent information to you, and then I think there was another link. So, yes.
So I was thinking the most everyone sent their information to the link because hardly people voted.
Oh boy. Well, maybe I
Actually,
need
the
to vote
same
again.
case here, Sarah. I
Okay.
think we'll have to
Okay,
make
well, from
everyone
what I
else.
can see, then the best speaker is number 1, and the best table topics is number 2 with Saeed. Best evaluator was it number one? That must have been Joni.
Okay, then. Well, thank you, everyone. I wish we knew the names. It sounds like Annie was
Annie
our
number one, Saeed number two,
Mhm.
and Joni number one.
All right,
Great
then. Well,
doing.
congratulations, everyone. Thank you, Sarah, for doing your job this time. And now time is of the essence. Great information, great speeches. I think we were all winners, if you ask me. And the table topics were such fun. Thank you, Table Topics Master Marianne, for doing that. And the only thing that I would say, and it's only because I was in it as a speaker, sometimes when a person does give you your presentation and they give you the introduction, the reason that it might need to be read is because sometimes people can think about things even before the speaker opens his mouth. So it's really good if you can read what was given to help with that whole speech. But other than that, we all had a great time, and I'm going to turn it over to our president. Thank you very much, everyone. It was my joy to be general evaluator, back to Toastmaster of the Day, actually.
All right. Well,
Thank
just to
you.
say thank you for
General
returning it
Evaluator.
to me, Sonny, because we do have to adjourn. We're a whole 6 minutes over time. So what I'll do here is I will adjourn the meeting. And with that, I will